No, I had to tell you, I gave him a fucking match loss because oh
Oh my
no.
god, this is so scuffed.
Oh my god. You know what we should have done? We should have just done it the day after. We should have just done it Sunday. I have a
Yeah,
fucking bro, I have a tripod.
and that's fine. This is great.
So first off, I guess like it's probably the first thing to bring up is matchups and out of all things, right?
Yeah. In order, it was the branded Blue Eyes, branded round two, K9 Mitsu round three. Um, what did I say round four was?
You said you played what? You played only one
Oh,
Draco Card one?
it was Little Light.
Oh, that was that when you played the guy who got first?
No, that was round seven. Round
Oh, you
round
played two in the Light and Swiss. Jesus,
yeah. Round five.
that is crazy.
Yeah, round five was Dracotel. Round six Dracotel. Round seven also Little Light. Round eight Decent Yummy, and then last round was
Draco
Magistus
Combined.
Dracotel. Um, Magistus Branded Dracotel.
Yeah. I guess we only you only really played the deck is the only thing you had. There wasn't really an idea behind it.
Say again.
I was like, there wasn't really an idea behind why you played the deck besides the fact that it was just the deck you had.
Yeah, and also
It
like
was
how
like,
like sorry.
no, it was just like, oh, why did you choose it in this format? I didn't choose it. It chose me.
Type shit. The thing is also like um, it was like unironically, I think you playing it and us like talking about it a lot helped like me getting a little more confident about it, or like learn more about the deck.
It's just there. Like I mentioned before, the deck is just there's too many cards. There's just
Yeah,
there's it it takes a long time for this deck to get rolling sometimes, but now we're at in this format. It's so strong because of
yeah,
all the new shit. It's crazy. But I think majority of the reason why I learned about the deck still, even like after I dropped it, because I stopped playing Branded for what like almost a year until the structure deck came back out,
yeah,
Chronicle deck. But the only reason why I also chose to play that deck at the regional, besides the fact that it's the deck I think I had the most experience with out of my card pool, was also because that deck has just such a strong engine with like I think I was mentioning it before as well about how like every card almost feels bloated in a way where like every card is like insanely good card economy. Like you have Fallen the White and Virtuous now that are just absolute like bombs that have to be respected. We literally are building the format around like cards like Fallen and Virtuous with like well, I guess you could also say we're just building a format around like Draco's Tail Flame too, in a way. But also because we could play like the really strong non-engine as well with this format. I think the deck is also just well positioned in general
yeah,
because you get to play like Virtuous already, and it's like fully accessible through your engine. And then you also get to play, and you reap like the benefits of not just playing Fallen the Virtuous with like Albion Ecclesia. You have so many different things you can do during the end phase, which helps you play through boards. Like even if you don't crack the whole board, you still set up enough defense to where like you can potentially see a turn four or even knock it out on turn three. Because sometimes people do scoop to like rend summon back like rend or like cleanse summon back like your Albaz or like find a way to make a dogma on your opponent's turn.
yeah.
Or just setting up enough interruption through like setting a retribution into turn three after you've cracked most of the board to where you make it to where they can never officially come back and kill you. So I think the deck is definitely well positioned. I know a ton of people are even asking I know they're asking you after the regional too. Like why did you chose the deck? And I think a lot of it did come down to I think it's one, it's the only thing you had. Two, the non-engine is just so strong right now.
Right.
Like pairing droplet in your deck with like a lot of your hands just makes going second so easy.
Right, sure, sure.
Or having like definitive lines through Fua is another thing.
Yeah. Should I just show
So where do we go from here?
they show off the stuff now?
Yeah, go and do what you want.
Yeah. So I mean, most of the engine's pretty standard. It's been three. The 2-in-1 all white dragon and one Mega Albaz.
Yeah.
Like three Aluber, uh, two Cartesia. Now, the one thing that like yeah that of course we talked about already, but that was not as common is the two Ecclesia. Yeah, again, it's still not entirely sold on this or 100 for sure if it came up or was correct, but I think maybe the few times I grew up in second as like a hard main made pushes a little easier because it just made the two little four bodies on the field without committing your
It's also
normal swing.
yeah, it's also just really hard to interact with because there's like a lot of cards right now target, and it's like you kind of have to wait for you kind of have to wait for Albaz with the board, like especially if you're tagging it out to try to break the board. But some people also don't expect if your hand's good enough that you summon Gold Sword Soul and you can use that as utility.
Yeah. Oh, clan. This card. Thank you for showing me how good this card is. It took me like a week to understand how to like really use this card. There's still part moments I can use learn how to use this card, but like the was it chain one bandage summon chain two clan same like Cartesia. Also just like in game recognition of like just viewing this as a resource. Later if this gets outed, then whenever something gets banished, then you can bring this back.
Yeah, because I know in testing it came up the one time where holding Omega to the opponent's turn, then Omega you hand loop and then you get to trigger Golden Sword Soul, or you can even do it with like Ecclesia. Once Ecclesia comes back during end phase, if you didn't originally make it with Sword Soul. Like if
Yeah.
you already opened like a really good hand and you didn't have to go through Ecclesia or summon Gold Sword Soul and you just immediately just made the Ecclesia to summon a Cartesia, then it's pretty strong.
Um, and then like
Oh, I know my bad. What I meant to say was like you summon the Gold Sword Soul still, and then you just make Ecclesia, but you don't summon Clem. Like sometimes you just don't need to go through Clem.
yeah. And then like the last like engine monster one ups the Springer's Kid, the Courier, and the Albion. Some people are cutting this right, but I still feel like
The
you want the
Albion,
yeah you still want the utility of this.
uh, and also because a lot of people are not main decking. I know a lot of people aren't main decking Retribution, so it loses some of its utility that way too. But a lot of the times I was using it was to send Albaz because then it makes your Cartesian not have to burn a normal summon, especially if your hand is like really reliant on like needing certain pushes. So it helps make Cartesia a push without committing like your normal, so that if you have to choose between a Luber and a Cartesia, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Or if you draw like this plus Branded and Red, that also is combo.
Or Brandon and White. It came up a lot for me where I drew that with Brandon and White, and you would go like activate, send something, chain. Not White, High Spirits. You chain High Spirits to it.
Right. Yeah.
And then the difference between the lists was he didn't play Spriggan's Kit, and I still don't understand why fully. Besides, like maybe the fact that it wasn't like consistent, or like it would clunk hands sometimes to do too many normal summons.
Um, I I guess my main concern was that yeah it was just an extra normal summon that might be dead if it needs to be um, a Luger or uh, it goes at Gwen. But it, in retrospect, I probably should because it's live more since uh, it, all you need is a best fusion, which happens very often with spirits.
Yeah, not even just that. In the tournament, I think round it was the round I played against Vanquish Soul K9. Me having Spriggan's Kit in my deck is the reason why I was able to out an anti-spell game too, and I pushed through it. Mainly because you can, and it came up another, I think round three, even though I lost that round. It came up where the Spriggan's Kit came after normal Aluber, because you can summon a Luber for Fallen in the Virtuous, and then when you use it, you can kind of use a Luber as a breaker for searching Fallen in the Virtuous to pop a card, and then you're slowly chipping at their board, and then if you hard open Spriggan's Kit, or if you hard open like High Spirits in a way to get to a Spriggan's Kit, then you can use that to search your Brand Fusion or anything that you're missing to kind of help push through a board.
Mm.
So it came up more often than not that having this card was like my actual starter, while my Aluber, instead of being a starter, was more or less a breaker.
Yeah. I guess that, and then the Monster Run engine, 3 Ash, 3/4. I think that's pretty standard in almost every deck these days. If they're like the last three, like questionable or like um, I guess interchangeable one was I did two draw and one nib. Were you on nib in your list?
I I, I think I cited one. I didn't play a. I cited only one nib. I didn't mean it. I was playing the Charmies like I mentioned before. I was playing a 3/2 for
Yeah.
in retrospect, I think Perulia is a good call for like a regional. I probably should have just sided three and then played Droll main because I think Droll main into a regional where you have to do multiple variants is like pretty pretty good, and also Droll is a high spirits target.
Yeah.
So even if you do draw it, it's kind of similar with Fua. While you, it's not common to play the target in the extra deck for Perulia for the Aqua.
Not the DPS.
I think it also Rokalos is another target, which is one thing I did think about at one point.
Okay.
There's no way that I'm going to be playing Sheeran because like that means you also have to play like a card that substitutes the name of Kick Balance, which is just really bad.
Shit, might as well just play Jam like that.
Exactly. It's like King of the Swamp or something.
Um, the 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 best card in the deck. The three high spirits. Fucking love this card.
I'm so bipolar about that card. I still think the best card in your deck by far is Brand Fusion, but I understand now with the Synchro lines, it makes more sense to High Spirits is the card that kind of bridges everything together. It's a starter and gives you stuff for end phase. So the card's just if it resolves is very like strong.
Uh, Also, like you said, the long term value just adding back your return for discard or using it again.
Or even sending it. Like sometimes I had it happen where I wouldn't have anything I wanted to discard later. Like you'd have to keep an Ecclesia on grave, and you didn't want to gamble the idea of you like getting your Albaz, like getting your stuff stopped before you can Albaz discard the Ecclesia, so that if you had a way to make Dogma still even through it, you negate it, it would be effective. So sometimes I would plunge send the high spirits to add it back if I didn't resolve it in the turn already.
And free opening. It's
Standard.
I guess as time has gone on, I don't hate this card, but it feels a little bad with the fusion loss. But it's still a very like solid card. Just getting a liver for Brandon Fusion, get
Also,
land.
it's still good because like it only fusion locks you after the card resolves, so you can do it later in your turn after you synchro it. You can go into your end phase and still do it. Like if you
Yeah,
added it alpha out the end to some of the Clem or something,
yeah.
or like a Luber for red, which is like another thing that came up a lot.
And then the, the three virtuous. The utility of this card is ridiculous. We talked about how strong the revive effect is. It also not just for like interruption, but also for combo too.
Yeah, like my round one, I played the mirror, summoning back like a Luber. I summoned back my opponent's mirror jade to my field. There's a ton of crazy things that happen in the game. That and Sanctifier really make this deck have another dimension. Like that card's stupid. That Virtus is just such a dumb card. Like broken. Can't even be mad.
Okay. I mean, droplet. As you saw, it's. I mean, there is other non-engine, but it's relatively like light, nine hand traps so far. And so this is like the I guess like the other non-engine that is pretty like I prefer and it's just solid overall.
It's applicable in so many different scenarios. Like it's a card that you can technically draw like in a very awkward hand where you're just going like Grangoyle like set like three pass and it actually will half the time having that droplet will help back up that like not even a half board but like that weird game state where you're just having to worry about only being able to really play on your opponent's turn.
Yeah,
It sets up a lot of interesting plays too. I had it come up once where I droplet sent the Tri-Brigade Spriggans kit and I was able to trigger it, which was really cool. But besides that, the card's just really strong. It helps dodge flame. It helps dodge like a ton of different interrupts. It helps out like stuff like going second too. Like it stops you from getting locked by like a window or something. Because I know some people were talking about playing like the Shadal package still in Drake Hotel.
yeah. Of course, Granite Fusion. I think it was Taurus. He was leaning one side the other. It just feels wrong. This is like
That was a decklist error. He wasn't supposed to be playing Brand Diffusion at all on his list.
real.
Yeah, he was playing the Edgent stuff instead because it's another way that it still plays in the draw, but it's like it lets you still do a ton of your fusion plays even though you do your synchro stuff. And also the theology, I guess, was that like that Guardian Chimera is like a better version of Chaos going second. But I guess you can also argue that it's awkward sometimes because like if you don't special fallen of white out of your hand, then yeah, you can still make the Chimera. But if you do, then it kind of turns off that dimension that you're trying to add to your deck, which is like a pseudo, not like a towers, but like a ghost second card like Chimera that is trying to refill your hand while popping the board, but also can't be targeted. But it kind of it's weird because you have like these weird small contradicts in your deck. Like the one that you already have to play through a lot of the time is opening fusion, and then if you have the synchro line. But a lot of the time, because of how good branded fusion can be, or how good your synchro line can be, you don't need one or the other. So it suffices.
Yeah,
Obviously, branded fusion is just a house. Like I think I think I barely went through the synchro line. Like for my run at least, I barely went through the synchro line. A lot of the time, I was still doing like standard stuff where I was ending on not attempting to lock my opponent, but like getting ready to like set up like six different interrupts.
yeah. You're also talking about um you, I mean not the secret line is bad, but you're afraid of getting super poly, but while the rare fusion line still end on almost the same thing, but it's hard made near Jade plus the cleanse, so you're playing on that and you have your end phase McCurry that's divided immediately in case you have like drop phase Corsair or other stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
But
also the fact that Albion and Sanctifier can't be used as fusion material sometimes too. If you end up having to use that through Thua is like really strong. Like I know we both didn't go against it, but like Radiant Typhoon playing Super Volley and also playing Thua is like a possibility of that happening.
yeah, well,
Obviously, you still have to worry about like shooting.
one red like um it it's a push going second to force another fusion and also just like the one last fusion potential after you use extended like Cartesia or Albas fusion. Um, there's another one I'm forgetting that allows you to fuse on finish turn.
You said that it allows you to fusion your opponent's turn. Just Albaz. It's just Albaz red Cartesia.
Yeah, so I think this is like the last one that gives you another
Yeah.
hero.
In hindsight, I feel like there could have been room post side for like banishment at some point, but there's also a lot of a lot of issues with that card.
It, it feels only like good into the mirror match or like Draco Tail or like another fusion there.
Yeah, that was the main reason why I was debating on sliding it at one point, but I just cut the card entirely.
Yeah, the Gold Stork, it's just for Mercury. If you draw Mercury, you're set. And then otherwise, it's pretty much only discard.
Yeah, no, I used that actually to banish a Perulia out of my deck so I wouldn't draw it when I hard drew McCurry. It was really bad. It was the game one against I think it was like Fire King.
uh, Call by this card needs to be banned.
Agreed. Like hard stuff. At three are banned.
Last card, Retribution. They set this all the time game. Going first. So it's such a nice layer of interruption on your board.
It's also something that's like really hard to out too because there's not a lot of backer hate game one. Because I know a lot of lists don't main it right now. A lot of lists are side decking Retribution. But I feel like that's incorrect because if you're citing Retribution a lot of the time, because people know Fallen the Virtuous is a card that's like live all the time, a lot more people are citing like back row hate versus the branded deck, especially if they know you're on pure. So like sometimes you just lose the value of Retribution because you're citing it into their like you're citing it for going first while they're citing like ways to break apart your back row because they know how potent the back row is now with the back row system. Because you have Virtuous Popper Revive, you have potentially Retribution, and you still have like things like Red or High Spirits that can help set up plays during your opponent's turn, especially if you draw multiples of High Spirits.
Yeah, like against your anti-foot, I don't even put this in, or like I put this as part of the end board. I just maybe an Unvirtuous so that it's a revive um, into a Cartesia um, or fallen White Dragon so that it can use it to quick tag out. But yeah, like you said, it's best for making your game one and board really strong, and then both side it becomes a lot less valuable.
And like brought up before with the Shrouded Dragon, like that's not standard either. Like, but it also lets you potentially draw. Like it's an upstart that sends retribution, which sometimes there were cases where I had it happen where I would get like going second, I would get my branded fusion to activation negated, and just having the retribution in deck, meaning that I could just send retribution and do it again was really funny.
Right.
Like I got my branded fusion Caesar, and then I went activate opening, it got Caesared, and then I went activate Albion, send retribution. I was able to force through a branded fusion.
Going to extract two Albion, pretty standard. Two Dogma. It's always. I mean, I like two Dogma. We thought about two Dogma as well. Just just
I
for
think it's standard.
um, and the two Grangadon. Was it? I think you said earlier that it's the technically you should only need one if you're playing correctly, but it makes playing a lot easier if you need one for high spirits or you need to make another one later in the game after you use one.
A lot of people were saying it's correct to only play one, especially. I think it was specifically as well as was Andres Torres was saying that it was correct to play only one B if you know how to resource manage, but that's just unrealistic because there are times where you'll only draw a spellcaster in high spirits, and with some of your lines, you still can't. It means that you won't have a grand for your like your actual combo plan. So then you're just kind of sat there trying to force like just sit on Ecclesia Cartesia, and it kind of feels not redundant, but it kind of feels like you could have done more if you just played the second one. And
Yeah,
also, the having multiple is really good too for like Bastials or something. If they try to Bastille one, you'll still have like another one to still get the value of something like Flem or Lulawala, which I know you were playing.
yeah. And then like all the pretty standard one of humans, Albion. Melendez, Rubra, Aircraft, Irrigate, and Sanctifier. You, you should probably still play this card. I only made it once this weekend, but it that I definitely benefited from having as the steal and then also um, getting in that situation where I made this, I summon the following white dragon to my field and then give my opponent the kit so I made my dog made easy and then I got to revive that mirror gate off the kit. So it just like double value. And then this thing has like the for some reason it has an extra tick that can't be succeeding and it can't be targeted, so it's almost not invincible, but it's a lot harder to out than you think.
And the cool thing with that card too is that the card says that it can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, but it can be targeted by yours. So like if they go droplet send one whenever you use it, trying to like play around, you could play around it as long as they don't send a spell. You can virtuous pop it if they're like responding to you.
Yeah.
Because it just specifically says it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, which it rarely comes up, but I've had it come up like once or twice. But the main utility of that card is playing through Fua and also using it for like layered setups in like a more grindy game, like you mentioned with the kid.
Last
Or a
fusion.
random interaction I also had was you can summon you can summon a monster into the middle zone against Elf Note if you know your opponent's on that, which also like randomly comes up. It was really funny. I had it happen and it won me again.
Yeah, you get versus Saul.
No, it was against someone else. But
Oh,
it also comes up too because I know that's people were starting to cut it and stop playing it in Draco, so but it also comes up when your opponent is like maybe bluffing and evenly because
oh
you can
yeah.
also just throw something onto their board and they're forced to have something out it like a virtuous or like a droplet that makes them have to have multiple cards to get your board. And if they had it, they had it. But if it's just evenly, it just stops their play and blanks their battle phase, which is
Yeah.
it just has a lot of utility, a lot of just resource looping too.
And then the last fusion in the deck, like, yeah, Star Source, like pretty standard. But again, another card with just such strong utility, you probably never want to cut it. You never want to not play it.
Yeah, and then that card also being an out to retail see if they like retaliating see you on like brand diffusion is also really strong.
And the two synchros of the deck, the previous synchro and the Lulu the 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 granular target is always like subjective on the meta and like what decks being played right now. Like this card being part of the like opponent's turn to interrupt. It, it, it's just nice. And then also the graveyard effect. It's the sun, spell by spellcaster, so that um, it, your turn three is your turn three starts strong. Like especially since you get to run back all the way like Cartesian Ecclesia. If for some reason you run out of you've gone through all of the like spellcasters in your deck, then you can you still have a vibe regardless.
Yeah, it also being kind of an annoying and negate because it says whenever a card leaves the extra deck, you can layer it with like even if you have virtuous, you can still use it to like maybe pop something and then negate something. You can like kind of layer that interruption too. It just kind of forces your opponent to play awkward sometimes too because of the attack game
That
because it can make some of your bigger bodies like unoutable.
onto the side deck, through Corulia. I, I mean, I have this like be okay like against the yummy player. Um, I probably staved off some summons from the hand. I didn't want to commit like their logful and their cookie off after the cookie search, but and also I was fortunate not to run into Radiant Techno or Canine Vanquistal, which I'm not as experienced in those matchups. But, so I guess for the weekend specifically, it didn't come up for me that much, but I still think you should play this card.
Yeah, I do firmly agree. I think even though a lot of people say that the card is not well positioned right now, and like a lot of people have ways to play around it. And like a lot of decks will have to commit into a Purlia at some point and at least make you net one. Like you'll go even. But sometimes, especially like matchup dependent, it does just stop your opponent from like putting out too much. And Brandit almost always can break a half board. It's like yeah, like when your opponent ends on a half board and you draw like a pretty strong engine hand, like you feel like you're probably gonna win that game, unless there's like something set that you can't predict.
And, and time for your favorite card of the format. Now I
Yeah,
know this card's
that
toxic,
card's
but
broken.
but you have
That card's broken.
but you really should play this card. It uh it makes your opponent have to play really awkward, or sometimes you can't even play through it. Like um uh I think the time you're playing Little Light, you just couldn't play because you didn't have where to get the mastery, so you can make perfume and that was it. Um, in the mirror match, well, I wouldn't. I don't play this like in a mirror match, but just if you're playing a different deck of planes, you should probably play this against Branded. Branded against Branded Trick to Tail this works too. Just yeah, you really
Although I
can't.
still think there is a valid argument to still put it in against the mirror match because it forces them to have to like find the way to out it because there's not a lot of consistent outs. Like one of the ones I can think of immediately was similar to when people were using Contact C. You have to play like Spring in your
Oh
extra deck. That's one way you can out it, but the other way is like if you chain it to like mentioned before, if you chain it to the to Bright Diffusion, you can just make Rebellion, discard a card, and then make Chaos and pop it. But that forces them to get rid of make their Brand Diffusion, make Chaos, and also then discard a card.
yeah.
But it also depends if your opponent knows like the interaction because they could. I know it happened to me before, like chain shifter or something along those lines. Is you would send the courier so you get another like card in your hand. So it kind of makes you like out the retail and then net even on the card you discard. But yeah, I think that card is if you can play it like it's insane, especially into into Draco Tail. It almost can make their whole turn just pass, kind of similar to shifter.
To play three Bestials, I, my I was probably overcompensating. I'm really scared of Little Light. So because I guess I could play like just straight outs like kaijus or lava goals, but I want something that's a little more versatile against yummier Smith decks. Shout outs to you, but we're the best card of all time.
Yeah, that Magnum was broken.
Uh, I only drew this. Uh, I only drew Magna funnily enough, and
Didn't see the Serenir or the Jerusalem.
you know,
Only the mag.
I drew it with the branded round two to force um, the Grand Fusion to be uh, a weaker instead of irritated, and then it's the Moonlight to stop the Yellow Martin uh, being combo um, into the Tiger King, and then I get to hit after.
Nice. It also is like a. It's just this deals are really good in this format too because like it's so wide, and there's so many different light and dark decks right now. Like you have Mitsu, you have the. It comes up sometimes versus Draco Tail if you do have nothing else to side in. They can use it to like banish stuff during like before they can go end phase. Their branded stuff, but it mainly is good against like the like you mentioned, the Smith Yummy stuff, and then like Mitsurugi and other like the branded mirror, which was something that happened a lot, especially at this regional. There was a lot of pure branded
Oh, yeah, everywhere we look, like look to your left, look to your right. You see normal summon Aluber, you see normal summon Quan.
special white mirroring.
Yeah, and then the card that I'm glad you guys told me about, the Ghost Ogre. I I didn't draw this card as much as I maybe wanted to or that I needed to, but I'm glad I did play this card in the few times it came up. Like got to hit a croaky to stop uh, a pop on my dragon's mind. I also got to hit a masquerade when it was going to be combo. I'm not sure
Sure.
if it's slept on, but I think this card should be played if you can afford to.
And I know a lot of people already mentioned it too. It's the it hits the witch stuff like for Azumina Yummy. Like if you hit it on a witch, they almost have no way to get to the Demon stuff, so you never have to worry about Dragoon.
Yeah,
It's also good against like Ecclesia, Synchro. There's a ton of things that's really strong against. Like you can use it against Minion, a Croaky. You can even use it on Snatchy.
just get rid of the body so there's no link.
And then the hidden technique of summoning it on your opponent's turn after you like already cycled it. If it's a grind game, you just summon it back with like Sage Fire.
It's the secret technique that they don't teach you about.
They don't teach you about this.
And the last three cards in your deck, one talent and two dragon horn. I I I probably didn't side this as much as I should have going second, but it was almost an auto um, slot in for going first because even if I get, I'm okay with getting Charmy. I always just stand on a halfway and counts like look at the end, maybe draw two if they get hand trap bad enough. I need to extend. It's just it, the utility of this card is just too good to not for me to not want to play
Or
it.
that card's ridiculous. And then like the also if you have it in your going against like Canine and then they like Azuna you, it becomes even stronger. Because like now they're gonna have a body on board. So it's like now when I check your hand I can snipe whatever I can already snipe whatever you added. It puts you off like you'll have a Ripper, but like you just out the Ripper anyway. That's just a free thing that you can like a Mirror Jade with without that.
Yeah, and then the Dragon's Mind. I only played two. It's I guess it's subjective, like, or it's just variant to the how often you draw stuff. I probably do this like almost half my games I went going first, and it won me almost every time. But round seven Luna Light guy, he had he did he did a line like uh, uh, it was like Masquerade Send, Emerald Bird, Summon Back Your Body, Yellow Martin bounced like the Cloud Chick, and earlier the Yellow Martin had searched a Lunite fusion, so you can assume that there's enough bodies or enough bodies on field and then cards in hand for the Lunite fusion to hard make a light years. So I had the Retribution that which was known, and then the exact heavy poly, which again is guaranteed to be a light year fight and stuff. And this card was the last like nail in the coffin to stop that push. I mean,
Yeah, and it's better than playing it's more consistent than just playing like Judgment and Solemns
yeah,
because it's a card you can also discard off of like Lubellion, for instance, if your hand's good enough and set it back, but also just hard drawing that card and then being able to reset it on your opponent's turn. So that like turn three, you're able to guarantee that you're like being able to clean out the game. And also because Branded doesn't make any Omni negates, like having an Omni negate that you can play is insanely good.
uh, that that's it for the list. I got second. Yeah, it was a little unfortunate. I know we've talked about this already. I got second. I was the last undefeated when round eight finished, and then round nine I played against my a guy who played at a regional last year, and then I lost. So that I mean my tiebreaker is worse, and I lost to the Luna player who I beat round seven, and he got first. So it's it's I'm a
So
little
unfortunate.
sad about it, but I was not even remotely expecting it to come this far. Um,
Second is a great finish. That's something to be very proud about. I did want to ask you something
yeah,
about the extra deck.
yeah.
I know what like the difference between our extra decks was playing me playing Omega and one Dogma while you're playing two Dogma. But the other thing I was considering cutting from the list was Alba Lenatus because I didn't think I'd see that much Draco Tail. Did that card ever really come up, or was that card kind of like just there for a name to send off like a Mirror Jade or Virtuous?
Um, it, it had a few applications. I do get your feeling that it was cuttable. That it was nice to be like the hard search for brand fusion after I went through both Albions. Um, there's one game I was debating about making a line for lethal ease easier against the Phoenix Fifth Enemy player. Like just Rebellion use like five monsters to make the thing attack 5 times. Um, but I realized that was bad because um, I'm pretty sure he had a stack card, and I wasn't. I don't think it was known it was assist, but it was almost like it felt like pretty obvious it was assist because uh, it wasn't um, it wasn't perk because there's multiple times that I did high spirits and then I did Uber, um, and then um, that um, this was game one, so uh, I, I was just trying to attack in out instead of just trying making this. I just made a mirror jade to guarantee I could clear bodies if it was assist, so that when I attacked in and it was assist, and it turned out to be assist, I chained mirror jade to get rid of everything, so that I could at least like prevent um, further establishment on their crackback. But I
Yeah.
just played really bad, and I could have ended on um, White Dragon, uh, White Dragon and Ecclesia, or not. I sent Titanic Led, and I could have and faced used like I think there's one more body on field, but I missed sequence. I forgot to add back a Cartesia or Ecclesia for the discard, so I just summoned a coin that did nothing, and then they got to play a lot more than they probably should have.
So I guess the only other application was like the fact that in the grind game, like you can use Alphalinitas to shuffle back like everything you need with Rebellion. Like I guess that was something it never came up for me, but having to like shuffle back banished Albazes that you weren't going to be able to get back, besides just making like a mirror jade. The other question was, I'm surprised you didn't play any of the locks, like any of like Invader of Darkness, like Ido, Christia, or the Diabels. Do
But
you think you probably should have at least had one maybe somewhere on the list?
um, it that was a good point. I mean, there were times that maybe it could have been better or like easier for you. Like the times that um like for example the Luna like I'm not sure if he had other engine or non-engine cards in hand that could have outed the locks, but like I really depend on that dragon to like help like prevent the push. But if I just made the um like the Christie I made the diabels, it just would have like just nullified that anyway. But also, it's another thing is to be honest, I'm like I'm not well versed in the lock lines from Grangano and such. To
Well, a
to
lot of it's easier now because of Virtuous, because you'll summon whatever lock monster depending to your side of the field. So it becomes a lot more simple as long as you have Ecclesia somewhere. But the I guess it probably in hindsight would have been better. It would have made the low light matches easier because you could even summon like Ido to their side of the field or something if you played Ido, because they don't have any like way to get over that besides Droplet, and very few people are playing like Droplet in Lunalight.
well, I guess another way though is if they top deck impulse, then that also stops it. But if that impulse, other than it being top deck, you have impulse way earlier on the turn one.
Yeah, but like a lot of time the lock isn't the only game plan unless you're like you've gotten hand trapped a lot. Like I know that you were lucky enough to not go against any Radiant Typhoon, but having a Diabell is definitely that's a not so favorable matchup because like MST being able to stop all your power spells if you don't have Droplet or Virtuous, or them even stopping your Virtuous with another like multiple set of MSTs is like pretty unfortunate. But also they get to play Super Poly and stuff like that too. So the matchup's already not that favorable. So having a card like Diabell stops them from being able to top deck stuff like super poly to out like half your board and make it to where they can just OTK you with like phonics or something.
It has to be like lava golem exactly, or like yeah, something like that to
Yeah. Which against Brandit, it's not common for Radiant Typhoon to sign in lawful. It's not like because a lot of the time it's just like not enough. But yeah, that I would say that was the only question I really had besides the besides like the extra deck thing was mainly the no lock in the side deck. Anyway, I even considered maining Christia at one point, but the the variance that you get in Dirals too is like really unfortunate because you have to expect to go 50-50 a lot of the time in Dirals at a regional.
or in your case, go was it 1 in 5? What the fuck, man?
Hey man, X3 drop round 6. Yeah, no, my run was unfortunate. That's oh man, almost getting a double loss against the Fire King guy would have hurt my soul. 'Cause that guy was just playing to play. He said, "Yeah, I'm here for the Genesis events now. But I'm just playing here because I can." And I was like, "What?" And then game one, he was like willing to drag it out the whole timer, and I was like, I need to get rid of this. I need to get rid of this man now."
That that was the match where the the other kit clutched you, right? Because you had it back
Friggin'
at the last virtuals.
yeah, no, I went through three virtuous that game. Spriggan's kit, he he goes Garunix summon, which is lethal because I'm at 1800. He goes Garunix effect summon. He's like battle phase. I'm like, wait, I have something on summon because he was immediately just trying to be like, oh, you don't have anything in the swing for lethal. He goes Garunix summon. I go Grangoyle affecting grave. I summon uh Lilith in defense. He reads the card and he's like, okay, it's fine. He swings over it. End phase, I have one Cartesia left in my deck. I go summon Cartesia. Draw for turn, I draw Fua. I go normal Fua, Synchro, make a Ecclesia summon from my grave, the Spriggan's kit, and I go Spriggan's kit, add back Virtuous, and I bottom back a random card from my hand because I had like four cards in there because I already had another Cartesia and Ecclesia in my hand. And I go activate Virtuous, summon back Mirror Jade, send the last target in my extra deck, which was the Lubellion, and then just was able to swing for lethal that turn. That's another reason why I think Kit was really good. Because there are like random times I think where Kit recycle retribution after you've already burned it to add back something is really good.
Or any of like the utility one of like or not, I guess not, but one of the like, I guess if you specifically need red, for example, you can get that back if you already banished retribution.
Yeah. Well, I know I would Dogma cycle back my retribution a lot of the time because I would go like summon Dogma on my opponent's turn. I'd go effective Dogma, then I'd chain retribution, add back something, and then I would shuffle the retribution back. That card's crazy. I know the retribution's broken.
Oh yeah.
Although it's not that broken because it's really good, but the fact that it doesn't stop effects too is like really good. It means that like that card isn't insane, but activations is good enough. R.I.P. Jordan.
uh poor
That
guy.
shit's tough, bro. I still feel bad about that too because I was on the bubble. Fuck.
He knows now at least.
Yeah, yeah, that is very true. He does know. Did you ever hard summon Rindrum?
Um not that I remember. I think maybe, but I might be remembering from something else. But like yeah, this the utility of Ringbrom on field is something I'm respecting more or like, I'm thinking about more. Because it's just like a breaker, or also just part of your like in weird times you also make it as part of your end board for some reason. You could have like a discard from Rebellion, like a Fua. You can make Ringbrom.
Yeah, no, the thing I that used to do a lot, and it still is like really strong, is like if you go second into the board, you like crack most of their board, and you're able to establish both Rinbrum and Mirror Jade. You can go Mirror Jade, effective banish a card, send as cost, and then you just chain the Rinbrum to negate your Mirror Jade and bounce one of their cards, which means that your Jade can banish the following turn
Yeah,
still. So it gives you like the advantage and also the interrupt, which is like really strong. Especially because like Dogma for some reason reads add a Tri Brigade card or Dogmatica card, so you can send Recurrier. So it's like one of the best sends that you can have in the deck in general. Another reason why two is insanely broken. Card's crazy. I won I think 3 games out of the 6 rounds I played because of Dogma just being unoutable. Shit was too funny. Shadow Towers monsters.
yeah. And I mean, it didn't come up for me specifically, but yeah, the two ecclesia means that it's a bit harder to make it unaffected because you have to get rid of both of them um to make to make it affected again. If you just sit on it.
Even then some there were it was funny, there were cases where there was one case actually, and it happened in testing sometimes too, was there were cases where your dogma would become affected by people shuffling back the ecclesia or the or banishing it, but then you would have virtuous send ecclesia and the dark dragon, which would still make it unaffected. I did that like I think twice when someone was trying to in the middle of trying to out it, and then I just chained virtuous send to like pop something, and then I sent the ecclesia to make it unaffected.
Oh, always remember another thing, like just the mechanisms of the stick always allows for unique situations to occur.
Yeah, no, ecclesia and the dark dragon is just such a broken card. Going second. Like I know like when I told bro, I still can't get over the fact that my opponent talons looked at my hand, sniped my hand. He goes prosperity. He sees anti spell, and I top deck Shrouded Dragon with High Spirits in hand, which gives me the exact 4 card combo I need to send an Ecclesia to the grave to spin back his anti spell, and then just play the game, and I just OTK'd him from there. Shit was fucking stupid. I could not believe it. It was against VS Canine. I got double one of into him seeing anti spell, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Wait,
And he
oh,
spun back a virtuous too. Yeah, my hand was high spirits opening, and I had I think I had I just had I think it was just Spriggan's kit, but I just drawed the one of Shrouded Dragon. I was like, oh, I was like, this is winnable as long as he doesn't have some shit like call by set. This card's actually broken. I think two Ecclesia is correct, by the way. Mid deck Ecclesia. This card's broken. If not, recently I debated on playing, maining the one Dogmatica like I brought up to you.
yeah,
Because I think main deck Dogmatica Ecclesia is actually really strong still too.
yeah. You can add virtuous.
It's
Right?
mainly just really crazy because what you can do with it is you can go activate Fallen the White Dragon, send like it doesn't really matter, you can send Albion, you can send Titanic Lad, you can still send like a Dogma,
Yeah,
and then that can summon Dogmatica Ecclesia, which then also gets you similar to what I mentioned before with the Liver. It can search you Virtuous, which can act as a going second thing, where it like either pops or because you control a Ecclesia on your board, you can still use the effect to revive something from their grave. So it's like a pseudo Call by the Grave or like a Monster Reborn that kind of forces stuff out of their board. Like I know I tried sanctifying my opponent's Marakumo. He stopped it with Droplet, and then I flipped Virtuous, steal his Marakumo, and they scoop. But just crazy stuff where like Virtuous is just used as a go second utility card, not just as a pot, but like steal. and then the Ecclesia also just being a kind of a board breaker in its own. Especially if you already draw like a really strong hand that you don't need to like synchro with.
Yeah. Well, we gapped for a long time. And that's pretty much the decklist. It's nothing special. Just play
Burnt
good
chicken.
cards. Yeah, burnt chicken special. Just
Burnt chicken.
play good
You're gonna have to
cards.
cut like half of this.
Or what?
So you're gonna have to cut out like half of this shit. I'll start spewing some crazy sharing. In all, I've never made any Perulia again. The fact that I drew both Perulias versus my branded opponent round one, and I only played two and they sided one. Fuck this card. That card's staying inside the binder too.
I guess
42. 42 broken.
42 just seems to be a magic number for people in our area.
43 was mine for a long while, but 42 is still like I always end up having a deck at 42. Like my yummy list right now is at 42 again.
I guess like I just want to do some like shout outs to like you, like, all the people at Legion, Murillo's, if you know, you know.
R.I.P.
Yeah, it sounds stupid, but the Ghost Ogre thing, I got peeled on that just because I saw the one random message from Hero saying Ghost Ogre can pop Dido, so I was like, oh, I'm sold on it. Even though I never played it as a medium the entire tournament, just the fear of that
No,
happening,
that's insane.
the fear of happening, and me wanting to do resolve Ogre in that exact situation made me want to play it as like as one of the main reasons I played it at all.
You're talking about hopping off that card. Your last minute, I remember that DM where you're like, honestly, I don't know if I want to play Ogre. It's like, I want to play like different on it. And I was like, for how you built your deck, play Ogre. It's like,
Yeah, thank you for making me that, or thank you for discouraging me from Curry Card. That probably would have turned out ass.
I don't know why you even thought of Curry Kara. Because I understand it's a Liger out, but like, that card's trash. Yeah, no, I should have killed myself on playing Ogre. Side decking the Nadir stuff was like, after losing 5 rolls, was it's not it. The game plan of like, oh, if I get Charmy, hand strapped to death game 3, I just activate Nadir and it's a bomb. All my games did. I think every game I played went to game 3, except for oh no, every single set I played except for round 5, I went to game 3, and the Nadir never came up.
Mm.
I think the only roll I won, I lost that set, I believe. So it was even funny. Which I did end up signing the Nadir package, but I only drew the flirt.
I think Flourish broken.
Literally? Yeah, that card's alright. You have to have another Dogmatic on board for it to be alive, which is just like Quem or Ecclesia. Specifically Dogmatic and Ecclesia. Cool.
Alright.
Right, that's like
Yeah, thanks for if you got this far. Thanks for listening to us say random shit for an hour about this deck. We like this deck a lot, and I hope we said something useful.
don't ban uh don't ban Sanctifier. Smile. I want to still summon Ghost Ogre after I use it. Turn 4.
Alright,
You can
peace.
stop recording now.